Hi, everyone. So sorry again, I'll tell you in person, sort of, about the Collaborate session yesterday. So what I wanted to do is go over the syllabus a little bit as if we were actually speaking to one another. So I'm really excited about this class. I'm teaching the same thing here in Ireland. And yes, there is a parrot above my head and Spider-Man behind my shoulder because I'm in a rental house and I'm using the 6-year-old's room as my office. So it's kind of fun, literally. But anyway, if you want to get out pause me for a second and get out your syllabus, that would be great. Pause. Not pause. So I'm teaching the same class here, and we're having so much fun with it. And it's a combination, as you see from your syllabus, of reading and writing in response to it. So we're reading these chunky bits of memoir and writing not lit criticism, but our own memoiristic pieces in response. So that's why I think it's kind of different and interesting. So by the end of the term, you'll have read 2 full memoirs and lots of pieces of memoirs, and you'll have written a total of 5 pieces, memoiristic essays. So I think that's a nice, reasonable amount for 10 weeks. I hope that you enjoy this as a summer class. What I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about Mask and 3 Takes. So that's what I'm going to look like. I'm not looking at you for a minute, but it's because I'm pulling up Mask. The reason why I like to work with Mask, I've used it before, is I think it's one of the really best written short creative nonfiction pieces, memoiristic pieces I've ever seen. This first line alone, Danny's Camaro was primer gray and had a broken window crank on the passenger side that I cut my leg on when he took a turn too fast. I still have the scar. That's the opening paragraph. One really, really long sentence followed by that short sentence that's kind of like a punch in the stomach, right? Danny's Camaro was primer gray and had a broken window crank. We already know something's wrong, and probably can age them as being young or at least tough, right? He took a turn too fast. That gives us the idea this might be a wild boy. I still have the scar. Lets us know that this happened in the past. So we don't know how long yet, but I think that's a great, great, great opening because we don't have any exposition. There's no direct, when I was 16, I dated a boy named Danny who was a bad boy. Nothing direct like that, but via this the descriptive imagery here, we get a sense of all of those things without any exposition. So when I'm with a group and we get to talk about it, we talk about the fact that it's done in those little chunks with the asterisks between them. Some students like it, some students don't. Some people think it's a cop-out to not have transitions. Other people think that it's pretty cool, and those chunks are parallel to snapshots, just like the photos she goes through at the end. So I think that's a cool way to think about it. We know as we read on, we walked to the grounds of our high school, leaned against its cold stucco walls and stared at its doors, closed for the summer, as if to ask, what now? Now we get a better sense of the age during the relationship, right? Because by the time you're 22, 25, you're not going back to the high school. So they have to still be in their teenage years, right? So the last 2 paragraphs, we finally get into present time. Vagabond, wanderer, boy of no fixed address, I counted on you to show up at my door until one night you didn't. I heard you got married. Your friend told me in the 7-Eleven, somewhere between the cat food and the Slurpee machine. I thought you knew, he said. Now that's our first bit of dialogue in the whole piece. I thought you knew. And then she goes on, I marveled at the smell of cherry licorice can conjure up that old primer gray Camaro. And the very last line is, "But with one whiff, I can remember vividly how damned hard it was to smile at Danny's friend in the 7-Eleven and say, 'I'm so happy for him.'" So I also think it's kind of brilliant that that's the only line she used. The only dialogue that comes from our narrator's voice, our protagonist's voice. So, you know, it's just a little glimpse of a thing, this piece. I wish I could hear right now what you think about it, and that's why I had wanted to do the Collaborate, to have a conversation about this piece. But I hope you liked it. I can understand if you don't, and it's perfectly fine if you don't. For me, it's a good example of how to tell a whole story in a lot of words. I mean, a little bit of words. We talk about some things sometimes. I know that Oprah calls it an aha moment. People call it a lot of different things, and it means an epiphanal moment, a moment that changes you, that rocks your world. When I teach a general creative nonfiction class and we do the personal essay, students want to write about graduation day, or when they got arrested, or in a car accident. Sometimes the moments that are big for the rest of the world, everyone knows, oh, that was a big day for her. Those aren't really your biggest moments. You don't even realize what graduation means until well after you've graduated. So the walk doesn't mean anything. If a car accident doesn't really change you, then that's not really significant either. Sometimes, like in this story, Mask, our most epiphanal moments occur when nobody else even knows it happened. It's a random Tuesday afternoon and she's in a 7-Eleven. And something really big happened because she found out that Danny did in fact grow up and live a life that she never, for her, he was frozen still as that bad boy. But, you know, he's changed, and now she has to come to some kind of peace with that. So, anyway, what I would like you to do, since we didn't get to talk, is I'm going to give you two choices. I'll write this in an email too. But you can either write a short memoir piece and send it to me directly, or put it on a thread that I'm going to create about a time that you wore a mask. Because I didn't talk about the title at all here, but we can see what the title's about. So a time that you wore a mask, you can send it directly to me, or you can post it online. That's one thing. The other thing you could do instead is write a critical analysis of the story. A simple thesis statement. Mask is a very good creative nonfiction piece. Mask is not a very effective creative nonfiction piece. And then explain yourself. Okay? So you can do either one of those things. So that's it for that. 3 takes on a jump. You're going to be, according to the syllabus, you already are going to be writing a response to that. What I really like about 3 takes on a jump, and the reason why I wanted to talk about that story as well, is because it is exactly that. 3 takes on an experience. She talks about how her family has kind of, yes, there's a plane outside right now. Her family has taken away from her, altered greatly this story that really still resonates for her. She thinks about it all the time. She dreams about it all the time. And her family tells the story in a greatly different way than she remembers it. We've all seen pieces and movies and everywhere. He said, she said, different versions, different POVs on the points of view on the same exact story. And I think it's kind of cool that this author, Jill Christman, breaks down that fourth wall and directly says, look, memory is tricky. People have different tales to tell. I mean, think about in your own life how many times how many things there are in your life that you're not sure if you really remember, or you're just remembering something because the story gets told again and again. because you've been shown a photograph or a video about it, or your family talks about it so much you feel like you were there, and you were there, but you don't have your own memory of it. Very common situation for people and their families. And I just think that Jill Chrisman does a terrific execution of that whole idea of a collective memory and a collaborative memory versus individual memory. Another essential question we have to ask ourselves when we're writing our own essays and reading them is, why am I being told this story, right? So we know why we're being told the mask story, because it really rocks her world when she sees that Danny has changed. Why are we being told the 3 takes on a jump story? Well, because this woman, Jill Chrisman, cannot shake that moment out of her life. She was abandoned on the roof, jumped off, and got hurt. And her family refuses to acknowledge that. So that seems like a pretty rough thing, even though she was only 5 when it happened. You can see why it would stick. So any questions, I am on email all the time, even though I'm here. Again, I still don't even know what happened with that Collaborate session, because I've been able to watch videos and my emails are coming instantly and everything's been fine. But the IT guy eventually told me that I had a really slow bandwidth. I don't know. So I'll let you know. We can, if you want to chime in and say whether you want to try Collaborate again on week 3, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm not sure if we should even try or just stay online and wait till we see each other. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you one way or another soon.